So application gateway is a new topic. So let's discuss. So the last topic was Azure Load Balancer. Azure Load Balancer is used to distribute the queries to the backend pool so that we can manage the load of the incoming request, and it works on layer 4 of the OSI model, which is transport layer. So it uses the protocol TCP and UDP for the load balancing purpose. So we have discussed a lot of elements here like front end, back end pool, Azure load balancing rules. We talked about outbound rules. We discussed about NAT rules. So these practicals we have done. Now let's proceed further. So we will be discussing about application gateway. It is also one of the solution under the load balancing series. You can call it Azure Application Gateway. You can call it Application Gateway. Both are fine. Let me open some documents. So let me share these three files with you in the chat box. These are the notes of load balancer. Plus, you will also get this tomorrow by the admin team as well. वो भी आप लोगों को भेजेंगे. Let me share this with you as well. So done. So I have pasted three notes in the chat box. You guys can download these. This is related to the load balancer that we completed yesterday. For today's session, this is the note. So I am uploading it into the chat box. These files will also be shared tomorrow by the admin team to you. Now, let's talk about the Azure Application Gateway. So I will just open the document of the Microsoft. Here I will search Azure Application Gateway in the browser and then learn.microsoft.com. So I will open one of the URL, what is Azure Application Gateway. So generally what happens, let me give you one example. In our load balancer, what was happening in our load balancer practical, we used to have one of the load balancer. Then we connected some backend pools along with the load balancer. These three are the backend pool. The load balancer was connected with the internet using one of the public IP. So this is one of the internet, and the public IP where the load balancer is receiving the query, that is called front end IP. So this is the front end, these are the backends, and we need to configure the load balancing rules. On the basis of rules, the load balancer was accepting the queries from the users, and it was doing the load balancing to the backend pools. This is something the load balancer used to work. Now let's suppose we have one, two, three. Suppose we have three users. They have sent the request to the load balancer to access a particular website or web application. In all of these three servers, same web application is running or same website is running. So when the user will access the page, they will get the website or they will get the web application, and accordingly they will start doing their job. Whatever they want to do with the site, they will do it. This is how it works. There are some scenarios where we want to access the specific section of the application or a specific page of the website. So, for example, you might have seen that there are the websites which has a lot of pages. For example, let me open one of the website here. So I will just open the website, for example, hcl.com. So if you go to the hcl.com website, this is their website address, hcl.com. And within this, there are some pages. Website is a collection of multiple web pages. So here you can see there are some option. If I click on this, you are able to open different URLs. Like if I go to the HCL group, if I click on the leadership, it will open a different page now. You can see the link has been changed. The parent domain is same hcl.com, but now we are into the leadership page. So if you scroll down, you are able to see the leadership people involved in the HCL. Now, let's suppose if I click on this option, terms of use. So I will be redirected to another page. Here you can see the URL is constantly getting changed. Now we are on the terms of use page. We can go through with the policies, description, etc. And similarly, if I click on this disclaimer, so you will be redirected to the disclaimer page. And the parent domain is same, hcl.com, but there is another sub page got added, which is disclaimer. So as soon as I change the pages, I am being redirected to another page for different kind of information. So generally, a website is the collection of multiple pages. We can go through with different pages. Now let's suppose this is one of the web application. Let's suppose this is a web application portal, and if I open hcl.com, so I regularly don't use the hcl.com website to do my job. I generally don't use the hcl.com to do my job. I always need, let's suppose, this particular page. I need this particular page every time. Means instead of using the entire hcl.com page, I just want to use this page only. I just want to use HCL software page. इसी पे मैं काम करता हूँ. Suppose this is the portal page where I work, where I log in, where I do my job. Because you might have seen that in the company there are portals, but we don't use the portal entirely. We use some of the section of it. So, for example, if you go to Google, even in the Google also we have a lot of options available. If you click on Google Apps, you are able to navigate to multiple options. Like you can go to Google Play Store, YouTube, Gmail. You can open Contact, Drive. So you can open a lot of things. But if we need Gmail, we will only open the gmail.com. Either we can go to the Google, we can click here to open the Gmail, we can click here and we can open the Gmail, or we can simply type the address gmail.com. This will open the Gmail. So generally we don't use everything on daily basis. We need the specific section of the application. हम एक specific section ही use करते हैं. Most of you might be aware about Citrix. So if we want to access the Citrix, we generally take the URL and we directly open it. We log in with the page and we are able to use it. But Citrix is the part of one of the portals, so you don't go to that portal. Even you don't know the address of that particular portal either. So if this is the requirement that I only want to access the specific page of the web application or website on regular basis, for example, here I just want to access this particular page every time. I just want to access this page every time. I don't want to access the hcl.com entirely. I regularly want to access this particular page. So what we do, we just copy paste the URL of it. हम इसका URL रख लेते हैं, right? Let me give you one more example. Let's suppose you want to access your student portal of eVision. So we can go to evisiontechnoserve.com website. This is the complete website URL. We go here, we click on the login, and then you click on student login. This is what you do. You click on student login, then you enter your email ID, then one OTP comes, then you are able to log in. This is what you do. But most of us, we don't follow this kind of directions. ऐसे नहीं करते हम लोग. What we simply do, we just keep this URL along with us. हम इसको रख लेते हैं bookmark करके. We generally keep it bookmark, then we log in. If I want to log in, I just go to the faculty section, then I log in with my user ID and password. If you guys want to log in, you log in with your student login section along with the user ID password. So बहुत से लोग क्या करते हैं, they go to the evision.com site. From there, they click on login, then they click on student login, then they enter the username password, then they are able to log in. But on the regular basis, if I only want to access this page, I will just keep this as a bookmark, or I will just copy paste it and keep it somewhere else. यही करूंगा ना मैं. I don't need the entire evisiontechnoserve.com साइट, मैं करूंगा क्या उसका? इट्स नॉट रिक्वायर्ड फॉर मी. आई डोंट वांट टू रीड ऑल द सेक्शंस एवरी टाइम. ये सब मुझे नहीं चाहिए. ये सब इतना लंबा प्रोसेस क्यों जाऊं मैं? So I will just keep the URL along with me, and anytime if I want to access this page, then I will copy this URL and I will paste it in the browser. Then it will directly open that particular page where I can just enter my user ID password and I can log in. This is one of the web application example, the portal example. So in the web application, everything is not important for everyone. सबके लिए सब कुछ important नहीं होता. If they want to access a particular page only, they need that particular URL. अगर ये वाला URL डाल दिया evisiontechnosoft.com, so it will open the entire website. And if I will apply this slash student-login, then it will specifically open this particular page. And I need this page only. So if we have this kind of requirement and if we have the specific URL to work on, we can leverage Azure Application Gateway. Azure Application Gateway is one of the load balancing solution, and it works on layer 7 of the OSI model. Which is layer 7? Layer 7. Layer 7 is the application layer. Layer 7 of the OSI model is application layer. So application gateway works on the layer 7 of the OSI model, and it is used to redirect the traffic to your web applications. ये आपके जो भी traffic आ रहे हैं users के, it will forward it to the web applications in the backend. The load balancer that we discussed yesterday, it used to work on layer 4 of the OSI model, which is transport layer, but this one works on the layer 7 of the OSI model. अब इसमें भी difference है. If you talk about the normal Azure load balancer, it handles the queries on the basis of IP address. जहां से रिक्वेस्ट आ रही है उसका IP चेक करता था और बैकएंड में सर्वर्स को प्राइवेट IP के थ्रू फॉरवर्ड कर देता था. बट इफ आई टॉक अबाउट द Azure एप्लीकेशन गेटवे, इट वर्क्स इन a different manner. This kind of load balancer is specifically used to handle the routings, handle the request based on the URL, based on the specific path. If you have the URL, for example, you don't want to access the entire site, you want to access this specific page only. So if the user enters this page URL, the user will be redirected to this page only. So Azure Application Gateway, it handles the request on the basis of a specific path, or you can call it incoming URL. So if, for example, if in the URL slash images are mentioned, suppose there is a URL, I'm just giving you one example. If suppose this is the URL and here slash images are mentioned, मतलब ये एक ऐसा URL था जिससे इमेज एक्सेस होगी. फॉर एग्जांपल जैसे यहाँ पे स्टूडेंट लॉगिन पेज था. So for example, user enters this URL. So this URL request will be forwarded to that backend server only which has the images available. It will not be forwarded to any random server. For example, let's suppose this is my application gateway load balancer. This is my application gateway. Scenario will be same. In the backend, I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 servers. I have 4 servers in the backend. These 2 servers have the website, have the web pages related to the images. मतलब ये जो इमेज वाला सेक्शन होता है वेबसाइट का, दिस इमेज पेज इज ओनली कॉन्फ़िगर्ड ऑन दीज 2 सर्वर्स. यहाँ पे सिर्फ इमेज वाला ही पेज है. complete web pages, complete web portal is not available. Only the image portal is available on these 2 servers. And for these 2 servers, for example, the login page, this complete URL is configured on both the servers. तो यहाँ पे login वाला पेज है दोनों servers पे, and on these 2 servers we have the images page. Now if any user, if any external user enters this particular URL, अगर किसी यूजर ने ये वाला URL डाल दिया, the request will come to the application gateway. Application gateway will check the URL, that what URL the user wants to access. So it will read the URL. In the URL, it is mentioned that they want to access the image portion of the web portal. Now the application gateway will check in the backend which server has the images URL configured. So images URL are configured on these two servers. In those servers पे configured है. Now the application gateway will forward the request equally to these two backend. For example, if these two users are requesting for the same URL, so one request will be forwarded here, another request will be forwarded here. Application gateway will never forward the request to these two servers. Why? Because these two servers have the login portal only, not the images. So if the users are asking for the images, it will only be forwarded to the images server. And if the user is asking for the login page, basis on the URL, the application gateway will forward it to the backend servers which has login portal configured. This is how it works. So it handles the routing decisions on the basis of URL. So application gateway can make routing decisions based on additional attributes of HTTP request. मतलब request का जो URL है उसके basis पे ये decision लेता है. For example, URL path or host headers. URL path means the complete URL. Host header means this particular extra string. मतलब ये जो extra होता है domain के बाद, this one. This is called header. So basis on this, the application gateway will take the decision. For example, you can route traffic based on incoming URL. So if slash images is in the incoming URL, you can route traffic to the specific set of servers known as pool. Here in the application gateway, we don't call the servers backend pool. We only call it pool. यहाँ पे इसको pool बोलते हैं बस. So the servers which is connected in the backend, they are known as pool here. And if the servers are configured for images, if the servers are configured for videos, so if the user is entering slash video in the URL, it will forward it to the video set of servers only. So this is one of the image depicting the flow of the application gateway. So let's suppose we have users. Their domain name is contoso.com. Contoso.com is the official site of Microsoft actually. So this is the domain, and along with this domain, if the user enters slash images, मतलब उसके पास ये वाला URL है contoso.com/images. So if they are requesting for this, it will come to the application gateway. Application gateway will check the URL. वो URL check करेगा सीधा. It does not check any IP address. It will only check the URL. Basis on the URL, now it will check which server in the backend pool has the image URL configured. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 servers in the backend. These two servers have the image URL configured. These two servers have the video URL configured. So where the application gateway will route the traffic, so application gateway will route the traffic to this particular pool. And if the request is for 2 users, so one will be transferred here, another one will be transferred here. And if it is for 3 users, 1, 1 plus 1. So equal load balancing will happen. If any user is, let's suppose, requesting for contoso.com/video, video वाला URL है उनके पास, so the request will be directed to the application gateway. Application gateway will check in the backend. This is the pool which has the video URL configured. So application gateway will forward this to this particular group. Now, if it is for 2 users, so one request will be forwarded here, another one will be forwarded here. This is the flow of application gateway. So application gateway always make the routing decisions on the basis of a specific URL. Now, you need to remember in which layer it works and in which layer the normal Azure load balancer works. Which protocol works in the application gateway? So it is HTTP protocol. And which protocol works in the Azure load balancer? It was TCP and UDP. So you have to remember this. They are working. You need to remember इनके working styles क्या क्या है. If you want to protect, let's suppose your application gateway, क्योंकि एप्लीकेशन गेटवे में मेनली आपके यूआरएल्स चल रहे होंगे, योर पोर्टल्स विल बी देयर. सो दिस इज वेरी क्रिटिकल फॉर द बिजनेस. कंपनी के लिए बहुत ही ज्यादा क्रिटिकल है ये. Like if you talk about the example of GoDaddy.com company, GoDaddy.com company has a lot of domain URLs running on. तो एप्लीकेशन गेटवे चल रहा होगा उनके पास बहुत ज्यादा, just to manage the load. So this can be attacked also. इस पे हैकिंग भी हो सकती है. This can be attacked. That is the reason, in order to secure the application gateway, there is a special firewall by the Azure, which is called WAF. एप्लीकेशन गेटवे को सिक्योर करने के लिए स्पेशल फायरवॉल होता है Azure का, which is WAF, वेब एप्लीकेशन फायरवॉल. So this is the firewall which is used to secure the application gateway. Azure load balancer को सिक्योर करने के लिए you have to use the firewall which is available in Azure, but इसके लिए अलग से स्पेशल firewall आता है, web application firewall. So using the web application firewall we can allow, disallow any particular URL. We can perform the penetration testing. बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं. So this is additional resource which is used to secure the application gateway. So this is also one of the topic not here in AJ 500 and AJ 305. मतलब Azure security का topic है ये और solution architect expert का. So this is the flow of your application gateway. Always remember, normal Azure load balancer takes the routing decision on the basis of IP address and the port number. वहाँ पे हम IP और port डाल रहे थे ना कल. We used to enter the front end IP, the private IP, then the port, किस port से request आ रही है, कहाँ जाएगी. But the application gateway always take the routing decisions on the basis of URL. क्या URL यूजर ने डाला है, क्या मांग रहा है वो, अकॉर्डिंगली द एप्लीकेशन गेटवे इज गोइंग टू टेक द राउटिंग डिसीजन कि कहाँ पे भेजना चाहिए मुझे. तो दैट डिसीजन विल बी टेकन बाय द एप्लीकेशन गेटवे यूजिंग द स्पेसिफिक URL. Rahul is asking if the user is requesting only domain. So if the user is requesting only domain, Rahul, then it will be forwarded to the normal Azure load balancer, not to the application gateway. Because if we have configured application gateway, we have not configured it for a specific domain like hcl.com. No, we have configured it for the URLs only. So in the backend server also, full site will not be working. पूरा की पूरी site यहाँ पे नहीं चल रही होगी. Only that specific page, only that specific code will be running on these two backends. So if any user, let's say, enters contoso.com, the application gateway will not accept it. It will be rejected. There will be error that web page is not available. If we have configured two URLs, only these two URLs will work as a request. If we have configured four URLs, only four URLs can be accepted by the application gateway. The domains can be accepted by the Azure load balancer. So not application gateway. Because application gateway is specifically for the URL based routing. अगर कोई domain डाल देता है, so there will be additional cost of it. मतलब कोई फायदा ही नहीं है ना. You are paying for it. You are doing the load balancing with an extra cost. Application gateway is costly as compared to the normal Azure load balancer. So if you are just using it for the domain redirection, it doesn't make any sense. You have to pay the extra money to the Microsoft, and that is not useful. That is not worthy even. So if you want to do the load balancing with the normal URL, just like we did in the Azure load balancer, better to use the Azure load balancer only. If you want to use the specific URL based routing for the load balancing, then come to the application gateway. So there will be interview question. What is the difference between Azure load balancer and application gateway? So you should know about it. I have attached the document in the notes as well. Let me open that. मैंने notes में भी दिया है आपको difference. So you have to remember this because that is important for your interview. So what is the difference between Azure load balancer and application gateway? So Azure load balancer works on the layer 4 of the OSI model. It uses the protocol TCP, UDP, HTTP, HTTPS to do the load balancing. It works on the basis of IP and header. Header means जो IP के ऊपर जो URL लिखा हुआ है. And we can only add Azure virtual machine as a backend pool. Means in the Azure load balancer backend, you can only add the backend pool which is available on Azure portal. मतलब आप Azure की VMs को ही इस पे add कर सकते हो. But when I talk about the application gateway, it works on layer 7 of the OSI model. It can understand HTTP, HTTPS based web traffic. मतलब ये HTTP और HTTPS traffics को समझता है. And it can do the load balancing on the basis of specific URL. And here in the backend, we can add Azure VMs also, and we can also add on-premises server. मतलब आपका जो portal है, that portal can be on the on-premises server as well. जो URL की मैं बात कर रहा हूँ, it can be on the on-prem, it can be on the Azure VM. कहीं भी हो सकता है. And it can be on the app service. There is a topic app service. This I will discuss in the next weekend class. This is one of the platform as a service, PaaS. So your website, your URL can be on the app service. It can be on the Azure VM. It can be on the on-premises server. कहीं भी हो सकता है, and you can add them as a backend pool. आप सबको यहाँ पे ऐड कर सकते हो. But in the normal load balancer, you can only add Azure VM as a backend pool. So these four differences are main differences. that you need to remember for the interview. ये पूछा ही जाएगा, इट इज डेफिनेटली वन ऑफ द क्वेश्चन. अगर वहां पे लोड बैलेंसर पूछ लिया तो ये पूछेंगे, या आपने अपने मुंह से बोल दिया या रिज्यूमे पे लिखा हुआ है लोड बैलेंसर, सो दे विल गो डीप डाइव इनटू दैट. तो ये कॉन्सेप्ट पता होना चाहिए. नाउ let's see the practical of it so that you can understand more about it. So for the practical, what I am going to do, the prerequisites are going to remain same. I will create here two VMs in Azure. दो VM बनाऊंगा मैं Azure में, and both of them will have the IIS installation. दोनों में IIS install किया जाएगा. But in today's scenario, we are going to have the web pages on both the servers, but they will be on the basis of URLs. हम URL वाले पेज डालेंगे. So web pages would be configured as configured for URL based routing. जैसे अभी तक तो हम नॉर्मल वेब पेज डाल देते थे default dot html. Now today we will be using the URLs because we want to implement the application gateway. Once this is done, then I will set up the application gateway on the portal, and we will see how the routing happens, how the load balancings are happening. So let's proceed with the creation of two VM in Azure. You can create 2, 3, 4, it's up to you. Baki, I will create 2 only. So let's see. I will log in with my portal, not this one, the portal.azure.com. इस पे login करेंगे हम. 2 मैंने रिक्वेस्ट. अब इसमें क्या हो गया ऐसा? अकेला ही हूँ मैं. 'So here, let me create 2 virtual machines first. I will create them in the same region. Here I will give the name web server -01. UK South is fine. And the image would be Windows Server 2019 or 2022, depending upon you. जो भी लेना है ले लो. And I will go with 3.5 GB RAM, 1 core of CPU, DS1 V2. Here I will enable HTTP, HTTPS for the web traffic. Rest is fine. In the networking, I will just change the name of the VNet. So I will make it VNet 01. Rest ranges are okay. Just next, next, and review plus create. Now let's wait for this. Then I will create another VM. Then we will install the IIS on both the servers. So this is done. Now I will create another virtual machine. So resource group will be same. Name will be 02. Here also I will enable the HTTP and HTTPS ports. It will be the part of same network. Review plus create. So this is also done. Now let's take the remote of both the servers and let's install the IIS. Then I will take the remote of another one also. Now let's wait for the load. So this is web server 01. Here I will do the installation of IIS. So let's wait for server manager to open. Rakesh, I'm not saying anything. I'm just waiting for the server manager to load. So it is still refreshing. Now it is done. Now click on add roles and features. Next, next, and here I will do the installation of IIS. So next, next, and install. So meanwhile this is happening, let's go to another server as well, and there we can also install the IIS. So this has been fully loaded now. I can just click on add roles and features. Next, next, and this is web server 02, you can see. So here also I will make the installation of IIS. Install. Now let's wait. So this is also done. Now let's configure the URL based pages. So I will not do something special. There is only one change that we need to make. करना क्या है, what we have to do. So for your information, in the company, the web pages and the portal will be uploaded by the server team, not you. You will not do these kind of configurations. यहाँ पे हमें सब कुछ करना है, but वहाँ नहीं. They are in the company. You will only be responsible for setting up the application gateway. So if I check the name of this server, this is web server 01. What I need to do specifically, I need to go to the C drive and the initpub location. So in the initpub location, earlier we used to create the default.html page over here, but now we will not create default.html page directly here because we want to use the URL based routing. So we need to set up the URL, and for the URL in the initpub, you need to create one more subfolder. And let's suppose in my URL it is going to be images. So I will just type images. I will create a folder with the name of images. Then here inside the images, I need to set up my default.html page so that it will create the URL with the name of images. So let's do that. Rest setting will be same. I will open the notepad. Here just write the simple code. This is my images section of the portal. यहाँ पे मैं इमेजेस अपलोड कर रहा हूँ, मतलब कुछ असली की इमेज अपलोड नहीं कर रहा. दैट फॉर दैट वी नीड टू डू द वेब डेवलपमेंट कोडिंग इन द HTML लैंग्वेज और PHP लैंग्वेज. वो सब नहीं कर रहा मैं, बस ऐसे ही लिख रहा हूँ. दिस इज माई इमेजेस सेक्शन ऑफ द पोर्टल. असली इमेज अपलोड करने के लिए कोडिंग करनी पड़ेगी आपको इन द बैक एंड. सो जस्ट फाइल, सेव एस, then I will go to that location in the C drive, initpub, then under the images. Okay, one thing I missed it. ट्रिपल डब्ल्यू रूट के अंदर हम डिफॉल्ट डॉट एच टी एम एल सेव करते थे. आई जस्ट मिस्ड इट. तो इमेजेस शुड ऑल्सो बी अंडर द ट्रिपल डब्ल्यू रूट. इसके अंदर बनेगा वो फोल्डर. So I have moved it under the triple W root. So you need to go to the C drive, initpub, then under triple W root, we used to set our default.html page. But now I have created one more folder inside triple W root, which is images folder. And inside this images, now I am going to save my default.html page. तो एक नया folder बनाया है उसके अंदर so that URL can be configured. This is how the things are going to work in the real scenario also. There will be a subfolder. Inside that subfolder, they will set up their default.html index files. So developer वो code दे देगा, then the team will upload that into the indexing, then save. So now this is done. And if I go to this location, so under triple W root, there is a images folder. Under images, this is my site. And if you open this, so locally it will open. बाहर से भी open हो जाएगा. See, it is getting loaded now. यहाँ पे खुल रहा है ये. I will check it from outside also, but before that, let me go to another server as well, and there also I will configure the URL. So here in this server, I have configured the images. In another server, I will configure the videos. Videos URL will be there. So just go to web server 02. This is my web server 02. See, here I will just go to the location. So initpub triple W root, and inside this I will create a folder with the name of videos. And here I will just save my default.html file. This is my videos section of the web portal. Then I will save it. So I will give the name default.html. Now this is also done. Now let's try to access both the pages from the base laptop. So I will just go to my laptop and I will just take the public IP of web server 02, paste. In the web server 02, I have videos. So slash videos in the URL slash the name of the site is default.html. So videos site should be accessible now. वीडियो वाला सेक्शन खुलना चाहिए. सी आई एम एबल टू ओपन इट. तो ऐसे ही वहाँ पे सिनेरियोज में क्या होगा, इन द रियल कंपनीज, इन द सर्वर्स दे विल बी कॉन्फ़िगरिंग द स्पेसिफिक यूआरएल पेज ओनली. पूरी साइट वहाँ पे नहीं होगी, ओनली द पर्टिकुलर कोड ऑफ दैट इंडेक्स विल बी देयर इन दैट पर्टिकुलर सर्वर, जस्ट लाइक वी डिड. वैसे भी हमारे पास तो साइट है ही नहीं, वी आर जस्ट यूजिंग वन पेज साइट. नाउ लेट्स गो टू वेब सर्वर 01 and I will take the public IP slash, here we have images slash the name of the site is default.html. So only change that we have done is we have added one extra string here, images, and here videos. बाकी सब कुछ same है. If you want to map it with the name, I have told you how to do that. So instead of IP address, you can just go to the public IP and you can add the domain name over there. Then the site will be accessible from the domain name also. So these two sites are properly working without any issues. Now we have the basic infrastructure ready. Now let's set up the application gateway. So I will close them. And in order to set up the application gateway, we will just search in the portal regarding the application gateway. It's very small practical, but it is complex to understand. It will be completed very shortly. छोटा सा topic है. So if you search for the application gateway, this will open. See, this is the application gateways, and it will open the same load balancing solution. Here we discussed about load balancer, then we have traffic manager, we have front door, and then we have application gateway. So today we are going to discuss about application gateway. Just click on this. This is the description of it. Right now there is nothing. So just click on create. Here you need to choose the resource group for the deployment. So I will choose my resource group. Then you need to give the application gateway name. So what name you want to give? I will give app GW-01 application gateway 01. Then the region, in which region you want to deploy this. So I will deploy this in the UK South. then comes the tier. So there are three tiers: basic, standard v2, and WAF v2. If you choose the basic option, in the basic, you can see we have the option to choose the Jones functionality. Means you can create three copies of this application gateway into three different Azure data center of UK South. It's same like your availability zone concept. And if you go with the standard v2, here you have the special option of auto scaling as well. You can set up the auto scaling. Auto scaling means if there is a load on this application gateway, so it will create the copies. So you can define the copies here. Like if you choose auto scaling, yes. So minimum how many copies of the application gateway you want to create in the backend. For example, I need two. So minimum two copies of the application gateway will be active at a time. And if the load comes on these two application gateways, so how many maximum copies you want to create? So if you, let's say, define 20, so maximum 20 copies can be created. This is the scaling feature that we have in the standard v2. If you don't want to use scaling, you can set no. Then you can give the minimum time, minimum number of instance that you want to create. For example, I need only two application gateway minimum. Then you can give number two. If you need one, then only one copy will be created. Plus, we have the availability zone option as well in the standard v2, but in the basic, only the zone option is there, but we don't have the option of scaling. That is the difference. So if you go with the basic, you cannot set up the scaling of the application gateway. And if you go with the standard v2, you have the flexibility to set up the auto scaling, plus you can also set up the availability zones. This is the difference that you need to remember. Third one is WAF v2. WAF v2 is not related to application gateway deployment. This is web application firewall. So I told you, in order to protect the application gateway, there is a separate firewall which is called web application firewall. So if you want to deploy the web application firewall for the security of application gateway, then you can choose this option. But web is only created when you already have one of the application gateway available. So if you already have one application gateway, then in the next turn you can create web v2, because it will ask you to connect your application gateway along with it. So this is one of the firewall, not related to the app gateway. App gateway has only two SKU, basic and standard. So I will go with the latest one, standard v2. And I don't want to enable any auto scaling, so I will choose no. I will only need one application gateway. दो तीन की जरूरत नहीं है हमें here. In the company, if it is required, then we can give the numbers. And I don't want to create any copies, so I will just remove the zones. None, no copy. I just need only one application gateway. तो minimum one मैंने दे दिया है यहाँ पे. And I am using IP version 4 only. There is a protocol HTTP2. So the application gateway supports the HTTP protocol for accepting the request. Earlier, it used to be HTTP1 only, but nowadays we have latest version which is HTTP2. So if you click on the I button, you can see HTTP2 protocol support is available to the client that connect to application gateway listeners only. There is one option, application gateway listener. So listener is like front end. Just like in the Azure load balancer, we had the front end. Similarly, in the application gateway, we have the listeners. So listeners में क्या होता है? The query will first come to the application gateway listener. Then the listener will check the rule, and accordingly, it will forward it to the backend. So this functionality is there in HTTP version 2. But earlier, when the listener facility was not there with the application gateway, so the backend communication used to happen using HTTP version 1. मतलब queries are coming to the front end, which is called listener earlier days, and they may get redirected to the backend pool using the old protocol, which is HTTP version 1. But nowadays, the queries are coming from the latest protocol, which is HTTP2 to the listener, and then it is getting forwarded to the backend using HTTP2 only. So if you choose the older one, if you will keep it disabled, it will use the HTTP one. But if you need more security, more resilience, then go with the latest one, because HTTP2 is the latest, so it has got more security, more improvements. यही इसका difference है, बाकी ये सब तो description है, how the query used to go. So I will choose the latest one. Koshiki is asking one minimum instance means one copy along with one existing application gateway. No, Koshiki. If you will enter one here, it means only one application gateway will be created. If you will enter two number here, it means two number of application gateway will be deployed. So दो copy बनेगी फिर. So one means only one. If you will put zero, so see, you cannot enter zero here. Zero means nothing. No application gateway will be created. So minimum number will be one, means at least one application gateway is required, and maximum will be 125. So here one does not mean that one application gateway plus one copy. No, one means only one. एक ही बनेगा बस. So I will just make it enable. Now you need to choose the VNet where you want to connect. Means where is your server? Where is your server available? So my servers are available in VNet number one. If you go to the VNet, you would be able to check it. This is my VNet one, and both the servers are the part of it. See, दोनों यहीं पे connected है. But now there will be one error. अब एक error आएगा देखो. If I will choose my VNet, VNet 01, now there will be error. If I scroll down, see, there is error. In the VNet 01, there is a subnet. Subnet भी तो choose करना पड़ेगा ना. So my servers are connected in this subnet. See, this is the subnet that I have, which is default subnet. Whenever you are doing the execution of application gateway, you need a separate subnet, the dedicated subnet, and that has to be connected with your VNet where the servers are available. It is same like your Azure Bastion. If you remember, in the Azure Bastion, we did create another separate dedicated subnet for the Bastion practical. Azure Bastion subnet के नाम से बनाया था हमने. And that Azure Bastion subnet was connected with my VNet. So whatever servers was there in my VNet, I was able to take their remotes using the Azure Bastion service. So for the application gateway also, it requires a separate dedicated subnet, but that subnet has to be connected with your VNet 01 because your servers are connected here. So it will not connect with your default subnet. It requires a separate dedicated subnet. तो इसका अलग से subnet चाहिए, and you can create it from your subnet area in the VNet. Go to the subnet. From here, you can just click on the subnet, and in the subnet purpose, you have to choose the Azure Application Gateway. And if Azure Application Gateway is not coming, see, just like here it is not coming, नहीं आ रहा ना, so you can just choose the default one and you can give any name. नहीं आ रहा है तो default में बनेगा वो. Give any name. Here the name is not any standard. In the Bastion it was Azure Bastion subnet, but here you can create it with any name. किसी भी नाम से create करके then click on add. So that you can do. But in case you forget to create it from here, you can create it during the deployment of application gateway also. So अभी बना लेते हैं. I will just click on manage subnet configuration. It will redirect me to the VNet page. Here I will click on subnet and I will give any name. I will give application gateway subnet. कुछ भी नाम दे दो. It doesn't make any difference. Click on add. Now it is done. Now I can simply go to my create application gateway option and I can just change my subnet. Now there is no error because I have put the dedicated subnet for the application gateway. Now click on next. And here it is same option. You need to set up a front end. Front end is like your public IP attached with the application gateway so that users can send the request to the application gateway. So we have two types of front end, the public front end, private front end, and both front end. So public front end basically means if you are connecting your application gateway with the internet, if the users are from external sources, then you set up the public front end IP. For example, let's talk about this eVision page. So if you open the evisiontechnoserve.com domain, here there is a login page and this is for the student. So a student can be from any location. They are login from any location. They can be from any region. They can be from any area. So here the requests are coming through the internet. So here specifically I will choose the public front end. But let's suppose This page can only be accessible when you are in the eVision network. This page cannot be accessed from the open internet. What you are doing right now, you are able to access this page from any internet. किसी भी open internet पे access कर लेते हो आप. You access it in the mobile phone, you access it in the laptop, you access it in your desktop, tablet, wherever. If you have the internet, you are able to access it. So this is called public access from the internet. But if I have put the restriction on this URL that this can only be accessible through the eVision network, means in order to access this portal, in order to log in this portal, you need to go to the eVision office, connect with the eVision Wi-Fi, then only you can access it. Or when you are working from home, connect with the eVision VPN network, then you are able to access it. Just like in the company it happens. Company में ऐसे ही होता है ना. There are some portal that you can access over the VPNs only. You cannot access them through the internet, and there are some portals that you can access through the public internet. Just like in most of the company, there will be restriction to access the ticketing portal from the internet, from the open internet. You have to connect with the VPN while working from home, then you can connect with the ticketing portals. And same goes with the Citrix in most of the company. But some companies have the open access. You can access your ticketing portals or your Citrix portals from any open internet, from any laptop. So it depends upon company to company. So if we have the portals that can only be accessible inside the company by their employees, then we will choose the private. The private choose hoga. And you can see application gateway with a tier of standard V2 don't support only private IP address, as the front end support SKU tiers are standard and web. It means if you want to use the private application gateway, you have to either choose the web application firewall or you have to go with the standard option. So जो अभी हमने चूज किया है V2, that does not support it. और अभी V2 ही होता है by default. So one option which is left is you can use web application firewall if you want to use the private, क्योंकि उसमें firewall आ जाएगा ना हमारे पास. Web means firewall, web application firewall. So you cannot use this private without web. So you have to create here web. यहाँ पे आपको web choose करना पड़ेगा फिर. Here, then you will be able to use it. Let's click on next again. Yeah. And if you have both the setups available, there are some users who are coming externally through the internet. There are some users who belongs to the internal network only. Then you can choose both option as well. In our case, it is public. Our users are coming from the internet. हमारे public वाले हैं. So I will choose public. And we need to create a public IP address to be attached with the front end. जैसे कल load balancer में किया था वैसे ही. So if you have the free public IP, you can select them from here. Otherwise, create a new. So I will create a new because I don't have any free. So PIP of app gateway. I will mention PIP app GW. Then click on OK. So it will create a new public IP with the front end. Now click on next. Now you need to add a backend pool. Same like yesterday. किन सर्वर्स पे हमारे URL चल रहे हैं, you need to add them for the load balancing purpose. So add a backend pool, give any name, कुछ भी नाम दे दो. I will give BP-01. Then here you need to choose the target. मतलब क्या ऐड करना चाहते हो, where the site is configured, site कहाँ पे चल रही है. If the site is running on premises server, अगर IIS ऑन प्रेम पे चल रहा है, फॉर एग्जांपल इफ इट इज रनिंग इन द VMware ऑन प्रीमाइसिस, then you will choose IP address or FQDN, and here you need to enter the IP address of your on premises server. अगर ऑन प्रेम पे साइट है तो. If it is running in Azure virtual machine, just like in our scenario, it is in Azure VM, then we will choose the virtual machine option. If it is the part of VMSS, अगर virtual machine scale set लगा हुआ है Azure पे, site is there plus VMSS rule is also configured कि load आए तो अपने आप ही machine create हो जाए, then you will choose the VMSS, and here you need to choose the name of the VMSS. Because we don't have any VMSS, that is why the name is not coming. If there is VMSS, then the name will also come here. If the site is running on app service, so app service we will discuss in the next weekend class. There is a topic like app service where we can run our portals and our websites. Just like we install the IIS in the VM, here we don't have to install the IIS. This is a direct portal where we can run our code and our sites. So this is a platform as a service that we will discuss in next weekend. If your site is running there, you will choose this. Then you have to choose the name of your app service. In our case, it is running on Azure VM, so I will choose Azure VM. Then in the target, you need to choose the virtual machine name कि कहाँ कहाँ पे चल रही है. So it is running on both the server. I will choose this one, web server 01, plus I will again choose virtual machine and I will choose another name of the web server 02. So दोनों server choose कर लिए मैंने. Both the targets have been added now. Now click on add. So in the BP01 backend, we have two targets. If you click on this, web server 01, web server 02. This is their NIC name. ये इनके NIC का नाम है. Now click on next. Here you need to configure the routing rules. जैसे कल कर रहे थे. We have the front end, we have the backend pool. Application gateway will accept the request in the front end. Front end पे request आएगी user की. And on the basis of routing rules, the request will be forwarded to the backend pools. It is same concept like your Azure load balancer. The only difference is it works on the basis of URL. So there will be URL based routing. So our front end is configured, our back end is done. Now we have to add the routing rule. ये बचा है हमारा. So let's add that. So I will just click on add a routing rule. Here we need to give any name. I will give RR-01 priority. So there is a priority number that you need to define in order to the rule for work. So if we have multiple rules, so which rule is going to work first? So that will be represented using the priority. So 1 से लेके 2000 20,000 के बीच में आपको कोई भी नंबर देना है. It's like your NSG, जैसे NSG में दे रहे थे हम. Here I will give let's say 1. So it will get the highest priority. Then we need to configure the listener. So listener means listener listens on a specific port and IP address for traffic that uses a specified port. If the listener criteria are not met, application gateway will apply this routing rule. इसके कहने का ये मतलब है the request will always come to the listener port. From the listener port, it will check the routing rule. Then it will be forwarded to the backend. ये इसका मतलब है. So we have to configure the listener name. मतलब फ्रंट एंड के लिसनर का नाम देना है. सो आई विल गिव लिस्ट -01, कुछ भी नाम दे दो. नाउ यू नीड टू कनेक्ट योर फ्रंट एंड आईपी. सो माय फ्रंट एंड आईपी इज पब्लिक आईपी वर्जन 4. इट हैज टेकन इट. प्रोटोकॉल हमारी साइड HTTP में है. सो आई विल चूज HTTP. पोर्ट नंबर इज 80 क्योंकि HTTP का पोर्ट नंबर 80 होता है. लिसनर टाइप will be basic. Basic means if only, let's suppose, one URL is running on one server. जैसे हमारे केस में एक सर्वर पे एक ही URL है. Then we will choose basic. In the same server, if we have set up different URLs for different purpose, let's say one is for image, one is for video, मतलब एक ही सर्वर पे multiple URL चल रहे हैं, then we will choose multi-site. In our case, it is one URL on one server, so we will go with the basic. In the custom error pages, we will not enter anything. These are the pages. You might have seen that if the page is not accessible, there are some errors. आपने कभी कभी देखा होगा साइट जब एक्सेस नहीं होती एरर आता है ना. 404 not found, the web page is not reachable. So वो एरर जब आता है, it loads another page. The web page is not available, site is not reachable. तो उसके एक पेज ओपन हो जाते हैं अपने आप. So that page is also coded by the developer. वेब डेवलपर उसकी भी कोडिंग करता है. So that people don't feel bored when the site is not accessible. Sometime you have seen कुछ साइट ऐसी होती है जहाँ पे बड़ा अट्रैक्शन सा आता है. द साइट इज नॉट एक्सेसिबल, वी गेट सम अट्रैक्शन. लाइक जैसे गूगल क्रोम में गेम आने लग जाती है. इफ देयर इज नो इंटरनेट ऑन द गूगल क्रोम, इट शोज अस द गेम. वो मारियो टाइप की गेम आती है, भागो उछलो. आई थिंक यू माइट हैव नोटिस दैट. जो गूगल क्रोम का ब्राउजर है, इफ देयर इज नो इंटरनेट कनेक्शन इन अवर ब्राउजर, इट विल शो यू द गेम that you can trigger offline. आप उसको खेल सकते हो बिना इंटरनेट के. लाइक ए मारियो गेम. मारियो वाले होंगे कुछ यहाँ पे बचपन के लोग, so they can relate it to. So that page is actually coded by the developers. Web developer उसको कोड करता है. And if you have that kind of pages available, you can just provide their URL. आपका डेवलपर आपको URL दे देगा. You can just give the location here. Bad gateway 502 का एरर आएगा, plus one page will come in front of you. मतलब जिसको नहीं खुल रहा, फॉरबिडन मतलब रिस्ट्रिक्टेड, सो रिस्ट्रिक्टेड के लिए आपने पेज बना दिया. इफ यू विल नॉट मेक एनी पेजेस हियर देन द एरर विल कम डायरेक्टली, लाइक वाइट स्क्रीन के ऊपर एरर जाएगा, बैड गेटवे, फॉरबिडन 403 साइट इज नॉट एक्सेसिबल, ऐसे करके. बट आपको चाहिए थोड़ा अट्रैक्टिव लगे, द पेज विच इज शोइंग द एरर, इट हैज सम इमेज ऑफ ट्री, माउंटेन्स, तो फिर आप कोड करके यहाँ पे डाल सकते हो. आई विल नॉट डू एनी कस्टम एरर पेजिंग, सो आई विल लीव इट एज इट इज. इतना होने के बाद नाउ यू नीड टू सेट द बैक एंड टारगेट्स. मतलब लिसनर पे अगर कोई क्वेरी आती है, इफ द क्वेरी कम्स टू द लिसनर, वेयर इट शुड गो, कहाँ जानी चाहिए. किसी ने लिसनर पे रिक्वेस्ट भेजी, आई वांट टू एक्सेस दिस पेज, वेयर इट शुड गो, इट शुड गो टू द बैक एंड. सो क्लिक ऑन द बैक एंड एंड हियर जस्ट सेलेक्ट योर पूल. अपने बैक एंड पूल का नाम सेलेक्ट कर लो, BP01. देन टारगेट कहाँ जाना चाहिए, सो जस्ट click here. There is no target right now, so you have to set up the setting मतलब rule, it's like a rule. इस backend पे जाना तो चाहिए, but what would be the rule? So just click on backend settings and give any rule. So BPST-01 मैंने setting का नाम दे दिया. My site is based on HTTP, port number will be 80. ये वही है जैसे session affinity था ना. If you will enable it, so always the request will be forwarded to the same server for audit purpose, for compliance purpose. तो इसका यही मतलब है. If the site is not accessible, then it will go to the sleep mode after 20 seconds just to save the energy. तो इसका कुछ लेना देना नहीं होता. Just click on add. Now the setting has been created. कितने टाइम के बाद स्लीप में जाएगा, सेशन परसिस्टेंस होगा नहीं होगा. So here we call it cookie affinity. In application gateway it is cookies affinity. In the load balancer it is session affinity. नाउ यू हैव टू डिफाइन द यूआरएल. यहाँ पे यूआरएल डलेगा, पाथ बेस्ड राउटिंग कि कैसे राउटिंग होगी. इफ द क्वेरी इज कमिंग टू द लिसनर, इट शुड बी फॉरवर्डेड टू द बैकएंड टारगेट ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दिस रूल. बट व्हाट इज द बैकएंड, बैकएंड है क्या मेरा, where is the URL configured? It is configured on backend pool 01, but how the application gateway will understand which one is for images, which one is for videos? So you have to define the path here. यहाँ path डलेगा. So click on add multiple targets and keep the path. So what is our path? Our path is slash if someone has images in the URL. अगर किसी के URL में images लिखा हुआ है, स्लैश इमेजेस के बाद चाहे कुछ भी लिखा हो, स्टार, स्टार मीन्स कुछ भी लिखा हो, एनीथिंग. फॉर एग्जाम्पल जब हम साइट एक्सेस कर रहे थे, व्हाट वी वर डूइंग, मैं आपको करके दिखा देता हूं पहले. सो आई यूज टू टेक द पब्लिक आईपी स्लैश, यही करते थे, दिस इज वेब सर्वर 1, सो हियर वी हैव इमेजेस स्लैश डिफॉल्ट डॉट HTML, यही था ना, एंटर, साइट इज एक्सेसिबल. The meaning of this, what I am entering here is slash images means in any URL कुछ भी हो सकता है. In any URL if this keyword is mentioned, if slash images is mentioned, slash images अगर लिखा हुआ है तो slash star, star basically means, star का क्या मतलब हुआ है यहाँ पे कि उसके आगे कुछ भी लिखा हो. Might be the site name is default.html, might be the site name is abc.html, xyz.html. So that is the meaning of star. Star means anything default, कुछ भी. So if someone has images in the URL, where it should go, target name. So just give the target name. टारगेट नेम कुछ भी दे दो. आई विल गिव TT-01, मतलब एक टारगेट का नाम देना होता है. देन इन द बैकएंड सेटिंग यू हैव टू चूज योर बैकएंड सेटिंग. सो अभी जो मैंने बनाई BPST-01, आई विल चूज इट. देन टारगेट, टारगेट मीन्स मेरे बैकएंड पूल में जाना चाहिए. जिस URL में इमेजेस लिखा है, in the URL where the images are mentioned, it should be redirected to my backend pool 01 server. अब जिस सर्वर से मैच होगा, as per the rule, as per the BPST-01 rule, it should be redirected over there. Click on add. तो इमेज का तो मैंने डाल दिया पाथ. इट शुड बी रिडायरेक्टेड टू माई BP01 बैकएंड, जिसमें दो सर्वर है, दोनों में से जहां पे मैच होगा, यूजर शुड गेट द पेज फ्रॉम दैट सर्वर. तो किस पे मैच होगा, इन सर्वर नंबर 1. Now let's add for the videos also. So again click on add multiple target slash if someone enters the URL which has videos slash star mention, मतलब videos है उसके अंदर, उसके आगे चाहे कुछ भी लिखा हो, it doesn't matter. Target name I will give TT-02, and here I will choose the backend pool setting. Then where it should go? It should go to the backend pool 01. Click on it. So I have two URLs. I have added them. Both of them are getting redirected to BP01. In BP01, I have two servers. Wherever the images will be available, it will match it and it will be forwarded to that server. Wherever the videos are available, it will match it and it will forward to that server. How it will match? Through backend settings. So in the backend settings, I have given port number 80 for the redirection. Now click on add. So routing rule is also configured, backend pool is also configured, front end is also there. Now click on next. If you want to add the tags, you can. Otherwise, click on next, then review plus create. That's it. Now let's wait for the creation and we will see the result of it. फिर ये टॉपिक खत्म. इसमें ज़्यादा ऑप्शंस नहीं है. Niranjan wants to ask something. Yes, Niranjan, tell me.
अच्छा। बोल रहा था ये गेटवे मैंने एप्लीकेशन गेटवे इसको मैंने क्रिएट कर दिया, ठीक है।
हम्म,
बाद में इसको चेंजिंग करना चाहो तो कर सकता हो ना इसको।
कर सकते हो. उस पे जाके एडिट कर सकते हो. अभी दिखा दूंगा.
बट और इसमें चाहता हूँ और मैंने इसमें ये एप्लीकेशन गेटवे का सर्वर क्रिएट किया, ठीक है।
हम्म.
इसमें मैं तो चले इसमें भी एड मॉडिफाई से कर सकता हूँ ना।
हाँ, वो सब कर सकते हैं. जैसे लोड बैलेंसर में था ना, वैसे ही ऑप्शन आएगा बनने के बाद.
ठीक है सर।
एडिट कभी भी कर सकते हो. यस निरंजन.
सर मैं पूछ रहा था, मेरा है ना अजूरे का जो मशीन में सब्सक्रिप्शन वाला किट किया हूँ, मेल पे 298 का बिल आया इनवॉइस, बट मैं एप्लीके पोर्टल में जाके खोल के देखता हूँ, वहाँ पे कुछ भी नहीं दिख रहा, जीरो जीरो दिख रहा है, ये क्यों?
नोटिफिकेशन नहीं आ रहा ना.
नहीं।
वो बिल नहीं आया
सब्सक्रिप्शन।
होगा. उसको जब खोल के देखोगे ना बिल को, तो उसमें लिखा रहेगा अमाउंट टू बी पेड, वहाँ जीरो होगा. होता क्या है, जब फ्री ट्रायल को जब पे एज यू गो में कन्वर्ट करते हो ना, तो उस मंथ के लिए वो भी फ्री रहता है, पे एज यू गो भी. क्योंकि जो तुम्हारा फ्री ट्रायल का बैलेंस होता है 15,000 समथिंग, वो तुमने पूरा तो यूज किया नहीं है. सो वो कैरी फॉरवर्डेड हो जाता है 1 मंथ के लिए. जब आप पे एज यू गो में कन्वर्ट करोगे, सो वो अमाउंट कैरी फॉरवर्डेड होता है. वो आपको दिखता नहीं है. अगर आपने कोई प्रैक्टिकल कर लिया है तो उसका बिल नहीं बनता उस मंथ. वो जीरो अमाउंट पे बिल आएगा. उसके बाद नेक्स्ट मंथ से फ्री बिल आना स्टार्ट हो जाता है जब आप यूज करोगे तो. मतलब फर्स्ट मंथ फ्री ट्रायल फ्री है, सेकंड मंथ पे एज यू गो का फर्स्ट मंथ फ्री है, थर्ड मंथ से बिल स्टार्ट होगा इफ यू विल डू समथिंग. तो इसलिए वो जीरो ही आएगा. नोटिफिकेशन में नहीं आ रहा है तो लीव इट, छोड़ो उसको फिर. वो जीरो ही है.
ठीक है सर।
तो इसका वेट करते हैं. इट विल टेक फ्यू मिनट्स. देर इज वन क्वेश्चन. ओके, और कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है. ये तो पुराना है. Now you can see the deployment is done. Deployment हो गया है यहाँ पे. Now what I will do, I will just go to the application gateway, and you can see we have one app gateway here. If you click on this, you can see the details. So it is in the UK South zone number 1, means data center number 1. This is the public front end IP. This is the VNet where it is connected. The tier is standard V2. Availability zone is 1 क्योंकि हमने 1 choose किया था minimum. And if you go to the configuration option, you can always change the tier from standard to basic, from basic to WAF. You can always do that. You can always set up the auto scaling क्योंकि standard में auto scaling था. So if you want to set up auto scaling in future, you can. ये सब point याद रखना for interviews. Scenario based questions बनेंगे इसमें से. Can we make the changes after the deployment? So yes, we can always enable the auto scaling. We can always change the tier after the creation. We can always change the HTTP protocol after the creation. If you want to attach the web firewall, web application firewall, you can do it from here. यहाँ से enable करना होता है, then we have to set up a policy, then we can do that. In the backend pool, you can see we have 2 servers connected in the backend. BP01 में 2 servers है. And here there is a good thing about application gateway that we don't need to set up the health probe. There is a default health probe available in the backend pool. So default health probe होता है इसमें. Here you can see it is showing you the backend health. If you click on this, it will redirect you to the backend pool and it will load the server details and it will show you healthy क्योंकि अभी healthy है. So it will show you healthy status. So there is a default health probe available in application gateway. You don't have to set up the application gateway health probe. So you can see their private IPs 10.0.0.4, 10.0.0.5, both are healthy. If there will be any issue, it will show you the alert. So अभी सब कुछ बढ़िया है, success. But if you want to set up your own health probe here, you can always add them. अगर आपको खुद का health probe add करना है, so you can also do that. See, there is one option, health probe. You can go and you can add them. Otherwise, it is not there by default because by default there is the health probe which checks the status of the backend automatically. Azure load balancer में बनाना पड़ता था. Here we have the backend health automatically. So 2 servers are here. If you want to add more servers, you can always click on add and you can add the backend pool. आप यहाँ से add कर सकते हो. If you want to edit this, you can just delete and you can add another one. If you go to the backend settings, this is the setting that we have created. And if you want to change it, you can always delete and you can add the new one. Even if you want to edit, you can just click on this and you can always change it. कभी चेंज करना हो तो यहाँ से कर सकते हैं सेटिंग्स को, बैकएंड को, एवरीथिंग इज चेंजेबल. इफ यू गो टू द फ्रंट एंड, यू कैन सी देयर इज ए पब्लिक आईपी. ये दिखा रहा है प्राइवेट इज नॉट देयर क्योंकि हमने प्राइवेट ऐप गेटवे नहीं बनाया. वी हैव जस्ट सेट अप द पब्लिक गेटवे. सो दिस इज द पब्लिक आईपी. इट इज कनेक्टेड विद लिसनर नंबर 01 जो हमने लिस्ट 01 बनाया था. Private link is a different topic related to the security. It is for the secure communication. SSL setting is for accessing the website in HTTPS. So if you have the HTTPS certificates, SSL certificate, you can just create it over here. Listeners we have already created, so you can see the listener setting here. These are some of the encryption checksums which is responsible for secure communication, and this is my listener list 01. If you want to edit, you can just click and you can always edit them. कभी भी edit करना हो, multi site पे ले जाना हो, you can always do. So every setting is changeable. Rules you can see here. If you want to change the rule, click on this and change it. If you want to add more rules, you can add it. Rewrite is a different topic. Rewrite is basically for the error pages. Health probe, I told you, if you want to have your custom health probe, you can just add the health probe, give the name, select the host. Host means आपका server का नाम select कर लो. Select the URL and select the timings. Otherwise, after every 5 minutes, the application gateway health probe is going to check the health of backend servers. Go to the property, you will find all the details. सब कुछ दिख जाएगा यहाँ से. You can apply the logs and everything. Now let's see how does it work. जैसे कल वो काम कर रहा था ऐसे आज ये काम करेगा. What I will do, I will just go to the servers and I will remove their public IPs. Public IPs are no longer required now. Public IP लेकिन remote के लिए चाहिए हमें. If you want to take the remotes, we need the public IPs, otherwise no. क्योंकि यहाँ पे वो वाला ऑप्शन नहीं है, देर इज नो नेट ऑप्शन इन द एप्लीकेशन गेटवे. सो एप्लीकेशन गेटवे यूज कर रहे हो फॉर टेकिंग द रिमोट, यू हैव टू सेट अप द वीपीएन्स, यू हैव टू सेट अप द बेस्टियंस, या फिर कुछ और करना पड़ेगा, फायरवॉल रूल्स वगैरह बनाने पड़ेंगे. So NAT option is not there in the application gateway. So these two are the public IP connected on the servers. You can just disassociate and remove them. So just disassociate. Then I will just delete. So public IPs have been deleted now. Now what we need to do? So we need to go to the application gateway. ये खुला हुआ है. We need to go to the application gateway and from there we will take the public IP of the application gateway. मतलब front end पे request करनी है हमें. So I will take the public IP of the app gateway, paste. This is the app gateway IP slash user has the URL slash images slash default dot html. User को ये images वाला page access करना है. User wants to access the images page. So user will enter the URL. वो bookmark करके रखेगा basically. The URL will be bookmarked. User will enter it, then enter. Then the images page will be accessible from the images server only. Now another one is the videos. So if user has the video URL slash videos slash default.html, let's refresh this. So video page will be accessible. So जो वीडियो का URL डालेगा उसको वीडियो वाला पेज मिलेगा. The person who will enter the images URL, the person will get the images page. This is how it works. By chance, let's suppose if one server is down, for example, the web server 01 is down, I will just shut it down. Here we have images page available. So let it shut down. So the VM has been stopped now, and here it was images site. So if I go to the images URL, refresh, it is going into the loop and it will give me the error after some time. And if I go to the application gateway and if I go to the backend, if I check the backend health, so it is loading the backend now. Let's see what will come. इनके तो रिमोट खत्म हो गए होंगे because there is no public IP attached. So after the threshold is for 5 minutes. Let me see what will happen. वैसे तो 5 मिनट हुए नहीं है, but still it will be updated. And here it will give me the error. कुछ टाइम के बाद यहाँ पे error आ जाएगा. Because it will not forward it to another server. See, ट्रबल शूट के लिए बोल रहा है. टाइम टेकन बाय द बैकएंड टू रिस्पॉन्ड टू द एप्लीकेशन गेटवे हेल्थ प्रोब इज मोर देन द टाइम. मतलब जो पहले टाइम लगता था उससे ज्यादा लग रहा है. अभी हेल्दी इसलिए है बिकॉज वी हैव नॉट कंप्लीटेड द 5 minutes ऑफ ड्यूरेशन. आफ्टर दैट दिस विल बी डिक्लेयर्ड एज अनहेल्दी. बट इसने डिटेल दे दी है कि हम इस पे पहुंच नहीं पा रहे हैं और कुछ टाइम के बाद ये इसको अनहेल्दी डिक्लेयर कर देगा. वंस इट इज अनहेल्दी विल बी द रिक्वेस्ट इज नॉट गेटिंग फॉरवर्डेड टू दिस सर्वर. इमेज वाला सर्वर का पेज नहीं खुल रहा. सी 504 गेटवे टाइम आउट. तो ये तो डिफॉल्ट वाला पेज है. इफ यू वांट टू ऐड सम अट्रैक्टिव पेजेस तो मैंने बताया था एरर पेजेस डाल सकते हो आप वहाँ पे. सो इट इज नॉट एक्सेसिबल. गेटवे टाइम आउट मतलब हम वहाँ तक रीच आउट ही नहीं कर पा रहे हैं. रिस्ट्रिक्टेड नहीं है. रिस्ट्रिक्टेड होता तो 404 का एरर आता, फॉरबिडन. बट गेटवे टाइम आउट मीन्स वी आर नॉट एबल टू रीच टू द सर्वर, क्योंकि सर्वर तो ऑफ है ना. So we will not be able to reach. And after some time, the backend will be declared as unhealthy. So backend इसको unhealthy declare कर देगा और पेज एक्सेस होगा नहीं. और ये पेज कहीं और फॉरवर्ड भी नहीं होगा because here this URL is for videos, so only videos related things will be accessible, not the images related things. So this is how the application gateway works. तो 5 minutes के बाद ये unhealthy declare हो जाएगा and this is how it works. Server on कर दोगे then still it will start working. So this was the small practical of application gateway. WAF हमें करना नहीं है, so I will not discuss about it. यही छोटा सा practical था, but yes, it has a lot of concept, तो आप वो सारा कुछ पढ़ लेना from the notes. Now there is one topic. Let me delete all this first. So there is a topic called app service. एक app service करके topic है. Let me discuss about that one because we have some time. So this topic is known as app services. Earlier it was known as web app service. तो पहले इसका नाम web app services था. Now it has been renamed to app services in Azure. So what is this topic all about? So generally what happens if I have some website or if I have any web portal, या तो मेरे पास web portals है or I have some websites or web pages. If I want to host them, if I want to configure them, so what we do, we create the IIS server in the window, right? If we are using the Windows server environment, so we need one of the virtual machine. First thing will be we need one of the VM. In the VM, it can be Windows, it can be Linux, right? Afterwards, we need to install the IIS. If it is Windows है तो IIS install करो. If you want to host your websites or web portals. If it is Linux, then install the Apache Tomcat. इनमें से कोई भी. Then after you need to configure your default.html index pages या आपकी जो भी है PHP .NET जिस पे भी साइट बनी है default.php py Python पे है तो py extension होता है, PHP पे है तो .php. If it is HTML then it will be .html. .NET पे है तो .NET होगा. So configure करो then your site will be working. This is how it works. Here this kind of setup is known as infrastructure as a service. इसको IaaS बोलते हैं, infrastructure as a service. Here the hardware is not our responsibility. If we are running it on the cloud, so VM will be managed by us, but the backend hardware of the VM, where the VM is connected, it is not our responsibility. So the physical server will be managed by Microsoft. The patching of the physical server will be done by Microsoft. BIOS upgrade will be taken care by the Microsoft. Physical availability of the server will be taken care by the Microsoft. We are just responsible for our VM that we are running on that physical environment. So VM down हो गया, that is our responsibility. Windows management या Linux जो भी आप चला रहे हो उसके ऊपर, that is our responsibility. The service that we are running, IIS, Apache, Tomcat, that is our responsibility. Plus the site is also our responsibility. So this is infrastructure as a service that we discussed during our January session जब हमने बैच स्टार्ट किया था. If I don't want to take the headache of managing the VM, managing the underlying OS, managing the IIS or Apache kind of services. I just want to take the headache of managing my site. मैं बस अपनी site manage करना चाहता हूँ बस. I have the code of my site. I want to run it. मान लो ये site है या फिर ये application है कोई web application. मतलब portal है या तो site है. It can be anything. I just want to manage this one. I don't want to handle everything. मतलब मेरा main focus इस पे है. I want my site should be up and running all the time. I don't want to worry about the VM, क्योंकि VM में अगर install करूंगा, I need to take care of the VM security as well. Antivirus has to be used. Networking has to be done in a secure manner. Patching has to be done by me. If OS gets crash, I need to troubleshoot that also. मतलब बहुत पूरी सरदर्दी आ जाएगी just because of this site. And I don't want to take this infrastructure headache. मुझे इतना manage नहीं करना. I want my site to be operatable. I will just manage my code. I will just manage my site. If that is not accessible, that is my responsibility as a cloud admin, as a company. So for that also, there is a service available in Azure that is called app service. So if you just want to manage your site or web portals without worrying about the underlying VM, OS service, then you can just use the service of app service in Azure. App services is one of the PaaS service where you are just getting the ready-made platform. आपको बना बनाया IaaS या Apache मिल जाएगा. You just host your site over there, do the testing, code की testing करने के लिए आपको चाहिए. Suppose the developer needs the platform to do the testing. मान लो डेवलपर ने एक एप्लीकेशन बनाई, they need the server. टेस्टिंग भी तो होती है ना लॉन्च से पहले. सो दे नीड द सर्वर, दे विल रेज द टिकट, टिकट डाल देंगे, भाई सर्वर बना के दो, आई नीड 3 सर्वर्स. इफ यू विल क्रिएट द वीएम, दैट इज ए हेडेक. मतलब टेस्टिंग के लिए वीएम बना के दो, फिर वी हैव टू बेयर द एडिशनल कॉस्ट ऑफ दैट वीएम ऑल्सो, फिर इसकी सिक्योरिटी लगाओ, ये लगाओ, क्योंकि वीएम को बीक करके रखोगे सो हैकर्स कैन अटैक ऑन दैट. ट्रबल शूट करके दो. सो इफ द डेवलपर हैज द रिक्वायरमेंट फॉर द टेस्टिंग, हम उसको ऐप सर्विस बना के दे देंगे. ले भाई इसके ऊपर चला ले अपना कोड, डू द टेस्टिंग, वंस द जॉब इज डन डिलीट. इतना कुछ बनाना ही नहीं है. In the production scenario also, if you don't want to use this kind of setup, directly create the app service, run your codes over there, run your web portals over there. You don't need to worry about this infrastructure. So this is a PaaS service. Here, Microsoft will be responsible for managing the VM for you. They will manage the OS for you. They will manage the service for you. IIS या Apache जो भी चल रहा है, that is their responsibility. We are only responsible for the maintenance of our site, our code, and the availability of our site. That's it. That is PaaS service. So it is costly as compared to the IaaS. तो जिन जगह पे इसकी रिक्वायरमेंट है, दे यूज इट. कंपनी में होता है यूज. कंपनी यूज द मिक्स काइंड ऑफ इन्वायरमेंट. इन सम साइट्स दे गो विद द IaaS सर्विस. मतलब IaaS इंस्टॉल करती है बिकॉज देयर आर सम फंक्शन विच इज नॉट अवेलेबल हियर. सब चीजें यहाँ पे अवेलेबल नहीं होती. एंड सम कंपनीज हैव द कंप्लायंस प्रॉब्लम दैट वी विल नॉट यूज द ऐप सर्विस. We will only go with our own servers, because if we will use the app service, so our code is hosted on the Microsoft data center, so they can have the compliance issue कि भाई हम नहीं डालेंगे Microsoft के data center में code. I will keep it in my own network zone. So that kind of company goes with the VM. Otherwise, company also uses the PaaS generally for the testing, for QA, for any kind of staging. They use the app service. तो app service मिलेगा ही मिलेगा आपको वहाँ पे. And this kind of setup will also be there. So far we have discussed about the IaaS. IaaS अभी हमने कर लिया है. बहुत डेप्थ में नहीं किया because that is not our responsibility to manage. सर्वर बना के हमने दे दिया, सर्वर टीम will install the IaaS, they will manage the site. But when it comes to the app service, this is our responsibility. अगर ऐप सर्विस पे उनकी साइट चल रही है, so app service creation will be our job. Availability of the app service will be our job. इसकी पैचिंग वैचिंग सब हमारा काम होगा फिर. They will not be responsible for it. We will do it. साइट का कोड उनकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है. They will provide us the code. Even हमें क्या प्रोवाइड करेंगे वो, we will just create the platform for them. हम उनको ऐप सर्विस बना के दे देते हैं and they run their code over here. वो अपना कोड यहीं चलाते हैं. They do the testing. Whatever they want to do, they just do it. We give them the permissions. हमने उस डेवलपर को परमिशन दे दी कि भाई तू यहाँ पे अपना कोड रन कर ले, लॉन्च कर ले, कुछ भी कर ले. इफ द साइट इज नॉट रनिंग फ्रॉम देयर कोड, इफ द साइट इज नॉट रनिंग, दैट इज अवर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. वी हैव टू ट्रबल शूट द ऐप सर्विस देन बिकॉज इट इज ऑन द क्लाउड. तो बना के हम देंगे, परमिशन हम मैनेज करेंगे, अवेलेबिलिटी हम मैनेज करेंगे, एक्सेसिबिलिटी, ट्रबल शूटिंग वी विल डू इट. दे विल जस्ट रन देयर कोड्स. वो अपना सीधा कोड लाके साइट का चला देगा. क्योंकि कोड उन्हीं के पास होता है, और हमें भी कोड दे देगा तो हम भी चला देंगे। इट्स नॉट ए बिग डील, आई विल टेल यू क्या प्रोसेस है, बहुत ही सिंपल सा है, कॉपी पेस्ट मारना होता है कोड बस। सो दिस टॉपिक वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस नाउ, द ऐप सर्विस। लेट मी ओपन द ऑफिशियल डॉक्यूमेंट। आज कवर नहीं करूंगा मैं, आई विल कवर इट इन द सैटरडे ओनली, बट थोड़ा सा ओवरव्यू दे रहा हूँ थ्योरी का, सो दैट वी कैन सेव अवर टाइम इन सैटरडे। So app service in Azure. So overview of Azure app service. If you will open this, you will see ये इसका नोटिस वोटिस आते रहता है. दिस इज द नोटिस. सो ऐप सर्विस इज एन HTTP बेस्ड सर्विस फॉर होस्टिंग वेब एप्लीकेशंस. मतलब यहाँ पे आप अपने वेब एप्लीकेशंस रन कर सकते हो. रेस्ट एपीआईज, मोबाइल बैकएंड, ये सब डेवलपर से रिलेटेड है. मतलब मोबाइल वाली साइट्स, रेस्ट एपीआईज की साइट, ये साइट्स के टाइप है. यू कैन डेवलप इन योर फेवरेट लैंग्वेज. इट सपोर्ट्स मल्टीपल लैंग्वेज. डेवलपमेंट की लैंग्वेज होती है ना. सो इफ इट इज .NET, इट विल ऑल्सो सपोर्ट इट. .NET कोर है तब भी सपोर्ट कर लेगा. जावा, Node.js, Python, PHP. So any kind of language application can run on it. You can choose Windows, you can choose the Linux environment. आपको एप्लीकेशन कहाँ पे चलानी है, विंडो में चलानी है, लाइनक्स में चलानी है, दैट यू कैन डिसाइड. एंड यू डोंट हैव टू मैनेज दैट विंडो एंड लाइनक्स बिकॉज इट इज अ पैस सर्विस. इट विल बी मैनेज बाय माइक्रोसॉफ्ट, इसलिए वो आपसे ज्यादा पैसे ले रहा है. आप सिर्फ अपनी साइट रन कर रहे हो, आप डिसाइड कर रहे हो विंडो में चलाऊंगा या लाइनक्स में, बट मैनेजमेंट विल बी विद द माइक्रोसॉफ्ट. आप लैंग्वेज चूज करोगे, कौन सी लैंग्वेज में आपका कोड लिखा हुआ है, आपकी वेब एप्लीकेशन किस लैंग्वेज में बनी है. सो इट सपोर्ट्स मल्टीपल लैंग्वेज. कोई भी लैंग्वेज इस पे चलाओ, इट विल सपोर्ट इट. App service adds the power to the Microsoft Azure to your application, including improved security, load balancing, auto scaling. मतलब ये सब फीचर इसमें मिलेंगे. You can set up the scaling, you can set up the load balancing, you can set up the security. बहुत सारी चीजें. आप इसको Azure DevOps के साथ कनेक्ट कर सकते हो for CI/CD integration. You can connect it with the GitHub, you can connect it with Docker Hub, you can connect it with any custom domain. ये सब तो बाद की बात है, अभी ज्यादा दिमाग मत लगाओ. What is Azure DevOps? वाई वी शुड यूज इट? सो मल्टीपल लैंग्वेज को सपोर्ट करता है, इसलिए हम यूज कर सकते हैं एजोर ऐप सर्विस को. प्रोडक्शन इन्वायरमेंट में सारी साइट्स को मैनेज कर लेगा. यू डोंट हैव टू वरी अबाउट द पैचिंग एंड मेंटेनेंस ऑफ द ओएस, जैसे कि मैंने बताया. यू कैन कनेक्ट इट विद डॉकर. डॉकर इज द पार्ट ऑफ क्यूबरनेटिस. गिट डेवऑप्स के साथ आप इसको कनेक्ट कर सकते हो फॉर CI/CD. मतलब ऑटोमेटिकली जैसे जैसे डेवलपर कोड अपलोड करे, ऑटोमेटिकली वो प्रोडक्शन में रन कर जाए, हमें मैनुअली कुछ करना ही ना पड़े. सो दैट इज डेवऑप्स ऑप्टिमाइजेशन. आप इसमें स्केलिंग लगा सकते हो. इफ देर इज अ लोड, इट विल ऑटोमेटिकली इंक्रीज द कॉपीज. आप इसको किसी SaaS प्लेटफॉर्म के साथ कनेक्ट कर सकते हो या ऑन प्रीमाइसिस के साथ. SaaS प्लेटफॉर्म मतलब कोई साइट है, यू वांट टू कनेक्ट इट विद दैट एज वेल, यू कैन डू इट. सिक्योरिटी वगैरह है इसके अंदर, ये सब कंप्लायंस फॉलो करता है ये. दीज आर सम ऑफ द सिक्योरिटी कंप्लायंस. ISO नाम सुना होगा आपने, ISO बोलते हैं इसको हम. SOC, SOC, PCI कंप्लायंट. सो दीज आर सम ऑफ द स्टैंडर्ड्स इन द सिक्योरिटी जो हर कंपनी फॉलो करती है आज की डेट में. ये इसके लिए अलग से पूरी सिक्योरिटी मैनेजमेंट टीम होती है. ऑडिट सर्टिफिकेट्स होते हैं, इसी की ऑडिट होती है कंपनी में. When the auditors come for the audit, they do the ISO audit, SOC audit and PCI compliant audit. तो ये तीन तरीके की ऑडिट होती है कंपनी में रिगार्डिंग द सिक्योरिटी. IP की रिस्ट्रिक्शंस लगा सकते हो आप. ऐप एजोर एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी के साथ इंटीग्रेट कर सकते हो. सब डोमेन लगा सकते हो. ऑथेंटिकेशन कर सकते हो यूजिंग एजोर एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी. गूगल, फेसबुक, एक्स मतलब ट्विटर, फिर माइक्रोसॉफ्ट अकाउंट्स इनके साथ. जैसे आपने देखा होगा ना, इन द फेसबुक और इंस्टाग्राम देर आर सम साइट्स वेयर वी कैन जस्ट क्लिक एंड वी कैन लॉग इन विद अवर Gmail ID, विद अवर गूगल ID. सो दैट इज द ऑथेंटिकेशन. सो आप यहाँ पे भी ऐसा कर सकते हो. यू कैन कनेक्ट विद योर सोशल नेटवर्क साइट्स और योर एप्लीकेशन पेजेस, अगर कोड है तो. टेम्पलेट्स यूज कर सकते हो आप. रेडीमेड कोई कोडिंग करने की जरूरत नहीं है. इफ यू वांट टू जस्ट टेस्ट समथिंग, सो वर्डप्रेस, जुमला, ड्रूपल, दीज काइंड ऑफ टेम्पलेट्स आर अवेलेबल इन द मार्केट प्लेस. जैसे मेरे को कोई वेबसाइट बनानी है, या तो मैं कोड लिखूंगा, या तो छोटी कंपनी क्या करती है, दे जस्ट टेक द वर्डप्रेस, टेम्पलेट में जाते हैं, ड्रैग एंड ड्रॉप कर करके वो उसका बैकग्राउंड डिजाइन कर लेते हैं. आई हैव ऑल्सो डिजाइंड वन ऑफ द वेबसाइट इन 2019, 19 या 17, 19 में किया था. आई हैड डिजाइंड वन ऑफ द ब्लॉग, बट उसका डोमेन एक्सपायर हो गया आफ्टर 2 years. सो अब मैं उस पर काम नहीं करता. आई हैड क्रिएटेड वन ऑफ द ब्लॉग अर्लियर, पैसे कमाने के लिए किया था, बट इंटरेस्ट नहीं आया. सो आई डिड इट ऑन द वर्डप्रेस. वर्डप्रेस में जाके एक वेबसाइट बनाई थी मैंने अपनी. सो Joomla इज ऑल्सो देयर, Drupal इज ऑल्सो देयर। तो छोटी मोटी कंपनी इन पे चलाती है, बड़ी कंपनी तो खुद की टीम रखती है वेब डेवलपमेंट की। यू कैन कनेक्ट इट विद विजुअल स्टूडियो कोडिंग वोडिंग के लिए, ये सब डेवॉप्स में पढ़ेंगे हम। जावा से कनेक्ट कर सकते हो, मोबाइल फीचर, सर्वरलेस कोड, मतलब ये इसके बेनिफिट्स है। लाइनेक्स में चलाओ, विंडो में चलाओ, वो मैंने बता ही दिया आप लोगों को। दीज आर द लैंग्वेज दैट इट सपोर्ट्स। सो वी विल सी दिस प्रैक्टिकल, दिस इज 1 day ऑफ प्रैक्टिकल, बट इट इज़ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग। मतलब अच्छे अच्छे ऑप्शंस देखने को मिलेंगे आपको।